Do we have a deal, Mr. Reagan?
You know, I know this steak doesn't exist. I know that when I put it in my mouth, the Matrix is telling my brain that it is juicy and delicious. After 9 years, you know what I realize? Ignorance is bliss.
Then we have a deal.
I don't want to remember nothing. Nothing. You understand? And I want to be rich. You know, someone important. Like an actor.
Whatever you want, Mr. Reagan.
Okay. You get my body back in a power plant. Reinsert me into the Matrix. I'll get you what you want.
Access codes to the Zion mainframe.
No, I told you I don't know them. I can get you the man who does.
Morpheus.
Good afternoon, good morning, good evening. This is Dspnews, the unreliable ones. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the newsroom and welcome to the Galtopia News Network, your unreliable source for DSP News. No tagline yet. Work in progress. We're working on it. Ladies and gentlemen, we're going to get right into it. I have two videos from you. I got two videos within the broadcast. Both of them brought by Snort Burnell, one of our favorites. First video. Let's see. Snort Burnell, DSP Gaming. No Sekiro Marathon. No podcast. Second video, I didn't know generic insults were hurtful. Modern DSP is not a censored DSP. Okay, so let's hurry and break this down. If I remember correctly, Sekiro is going to be a brand new game. To be honest with you, it would be smart to play it because it is a brand new game. It'd bring a lot of attention to his streams. But then again, if you guys have been around for any period of time, when it comes to when it comes to these longer type of charity / fundraiser type things he likes to do, the first couple of games are going to get the most attention anyway, and then everything else dies out unless he plays a game that's very rage inducing. So that kind of is what that is. So he's probably going to get the most attention for the first game or two, so you might as well go ahead and make Sekiro be that game, because not only is it a brand new game, but you'll have, not only is it a brand new game, but it'll also garner the most attention. It's almost a double whammy, as Phil likes to say it. You're going to have people who are going to come out to the stream for the first hour or two just to see what the deal is, and it's a brand new game. It doesn't get no better. So for him not wanting to play it, almost as if he wants to bring people into the marathon on his own merit, is kind of foolish, especially given how desperate he is at the current situation. And no podcast. It is what it is. Phil's a coward. It is what it is. So hopefully we get a reason why he didn't. And either which way, it's not going to be fulfilling. He was probably never going to go on there anyway, and no one should be surprised. As for the second video, this is basically asshole remorse, if you think about it. Sorry. This is asshole remorse, basically. So Phil has spent years, and by his own words, has garnered a fan base by being the realest guy on YouTube, which means talking shit, making a total fool of himself, to the point where he can't get sponsorships, he can't get a real job, allegedly, and he can't really do anything, air quotes, positive years and years later. Now, he's going to come out and say, oh, I didn't know any better, I was young. He wasn't that young, ladies and gentlemen, he was like 26. But you know, whatever. He was young and people really gravitated to what he was doing, so he kept doing it. Theoretically, Phil could be a douchebag and say, well, you know what? Everybody gravitated to me and everybody liked what I did, so I kept doing it. Hence the reason why he keeps doing it to this day, because he thinks the overall 180,000 plus people that are on his YouTube channel who don't support him on his Patreon, Teespring, or on Twitch itself, but whatever, it's a big number. He's kind of like Monday Matt. It means that he accomplished something, so that's why he harps on it, whatever. Because of all those people who came to me, they obviously, what I did meant something to them. So I was unapologetic, and that's why I defended it, and that's why I did all of my ranting and raving all those years. But now that all the fan base is basically dried up, and all that's left, I should say, is hollow numbers. You know, 3 YouTube pages that aren't worth a damn, really. A Twitch stream that is a joke. It's a running tally of how not to run a Twitch channel. That's all he has left. Now that all of the glitz and glamour and the money's gone, now all of a sudden he has remorse over a situation. It's no different from other people too, who have taken a fall from grace and are basically just gonna ride it out. It is what it is. Basically, DSP's online job, career, legacy is basically a hoopty that's on its last leg. And once that last tire blows out, once the transmission's already out. He's just kind of rigging it to make it go for as long as he can. Once the last tire goes out, it's it. It's over. And everybody sees it, but he has hope one day that things will get better. And giving us basically a generic "I'm sorry" doesn't mean shit to anybody but him. He's just doing it just so he can say, I did apologize for some of my past misdeeds. And then modern DSP is not a censored DSP. Yeah, he is actually. He is very much held by the balls. And why not? No one on YouTube wants him. He doesn't have any other, there are no other online avenues or media platforms he can really go to, at least that he understands or he can get over a learning curve. So the only thing he can do is Twitch, because as Phil said, Twitch is the hottest thing out right now. The problem is that's almost a mainstay of his career, if you want to call it that he jumps on whatever the hot new trend is, and then it fizzles out, which makes him a hoe, to be perfectly honest with you. And I say that because if he would sit there and call all these other people shills, and he doesn't call them hoes, but if he called all these other people shills and they're just Mayweather type fans and so on and so forth, and they just jump on the hype, Phil's done that his whole career. Hence the reason why he only plays the newest games. That's the only thing he was known for. It's still kind of the only thing that he's known for, to be honest. And even then, that doesn't carry enough weight. So imagine you building your whole online career, your business, on the fact of playing new games. And though he played some other games in between, you're pretty much known for that. But then it fizzled out when, guess what? Other people did it too. And they did it at a higher quality. And they did it better. And they were able to get it out in, oh, I don't know, 2 or 3 videos, right? Compared to 200 videos. Kind of sets the tone. And since he wasn't willing to change with the times because of what the point that was already established earlier on, that these people came to me because this is how I acted, or this is because of how I did things, and they appreciated it, so why should I have changed back then? Leads to all the reasons why he's where he's at now. You can go ahead and say haters, trolls, detractors, and all that bullshit all you want. That's cool. If that makes you feel better, if that helps you sleep at night, especially since Cat's not there. But in truth, it all really goes back to you. It always did. It always did. And even the people who cared about you enough, excuse me, back then to tell you that, you didn't listen to them. You just shut them out. So now he has this little husk of a fan base, if you will, and they're dwindling. If anything else, they're cannibalizing themselves, and more often than not, there are so many inner conflicts within Phil's own fan base that it's ridiculous, and he spends a lot of time ignoring it. And one time or another, the N-word was dropped over there, or any type of just offensive type thing could be dropped in Phil's chat. He'd take a quick look at it and then look right back at the screen. Completely ignored it. Didn't even care. Now all of a sudden, everything has to be cleaned up. Now everything has to be squeaky clean. The problem is, though, is your Nazi little chat over there, Phil, has already been very well established. There's screenshots all over Twitter and Kiwi Farms, as well as a couple places respectfully, that show all of that. You can't run from it. And you should know that, Phil. You're on Kiwi Farms. You understand what's being said about you and what's being said about the people over there. And it's funny how, Phil, that every person who leaves you or is kicked out can go somewhere else and reestablish themselves. Kinda. They don't actually go off to a whole new community and start over. If they do, they have to change their name and do all that bullshit. But it's funny how they'll go to Kiwi Farms and they can just go ahead and start fresh. That's what Brightside Viking did. Which, I mean, to be honest with you, it establishes a trend of what's going to happen later on. But that's neither here nor there. And it wasn't necessarily like with Brightside that he wasn't loyal. You ousted him to try to save yourself. The problem is you weren't really in any trouble. So you kind of threw him to the wayside for no reason. Then again, his financial situation was kind of different, and it was certainly uncomfortable for you, so theoretically, he wasn't really useful to you anymore. Just my thoughts, of course. Ladies and gentlemen, let's go ahead and get into the broadcast at hand. Thank you for that lengthy rant, if you will. Sorry about that, it's early. And let's just go ahead and move on with the broadcast. Ladies and gentlemen, this is Dspnews, always late, never breaking. Unreliable coverage that you can't count on. Oh yes, a GTG Network Productions. You guys all know the slogan. It's time to watch me work. Let's see if we can try to get this bacon cooking.
This is how to play the game! Oh my god! What the fuck?
Holy shit! That is an epic fucking intro, dude. And I have to warn everyone. Warning. What you may see right now is going to be absolutely disgusting. Sound good?
Alright, sounds good to me.
Now,
Ladies and gentlemen, we are here with the first video of our broadcast, Snort Burnell, DsPgaming. No Sekiro marathon and no podcast. Here we go.
I need everyone's input. This is very important, everyone. Please listen up. I need everybody's input. And here's why. This month, I'm doing a special marathon event. Alright, it's going to be the first ever 12-hour gaming marathon. I don't know how it's going to go. I hope it doesn't go horribly wrong because it's very important, because much like the retrospective event tomorrow, this is another special event I'm doing to try to raise funds for my taxes in April. Alright? That being said, it's the longest event I've ever done on stream, and I want to make sure that, number one, I'm entertaining you guys, and number two, that I'm doing it on a date that makes sense. Because I want as many people to be able to attend as possible, but also, you know, people who are going to contribute and everything, I want them to get recognition, so I want it to be on a stream that people are actually showing up for. You know what I mean? Here was my thoughts, and
Here, let me step in for just a second. Do any of you guys remember back when people had asked Phil to do a marathon? Because he's done charity streams, he's done fundraising streams. They were all lengthy, but not like 12 hours. And people had said, hey, why don't you do like a 12-hour marathon? Hey, why don't you do a 24-hour marathon? And Phil, for both of those responses, or to both of those responses, I should say, or quiveries, he said, no, I can't do it. I got to think about my health, this, that, and the third. All people who do that are stupid, and they don't care about their body, and they're not worried about, you know, stuff like that, and I don't have time to do that, and I could really hurt myself, and so on and so forth. But he just told you right then and there, because he's doing a 12-hour marathon. He's established that. He didn't mention, he said he wants something that's entertaining, which is really something that's convenient for him, something that entertains him, and by proxy, as residuals, if you will, the rest of you guys are entertained, then so what? Just give me money, because I really don't care that any of you are there anyway. And then on a day that makes sense. He never mentioned anything about his health. But in the past, he used to rant and rave about that shit. You know, I'm not going to kill myself for you guys and whatnot. I'm not going to hurt myself in the long term. No. That takes a lot out of you. No. But you're a full-time streamer now, though. This is supposed to be your profession. This is your stock and trade. And you owe taxes. So which is the whole point of this marathon in the first place. To be perfectly honest with you, if he wasn't in debt, he wouldn't do the marathon. He would just go ahead and slug along for his 8 hours / 12 hours, as he liked to call it, and just keep moving on with his day. To be perfectly honest with you, Phil's never had the ambition to make money, i.e., hard work to obtain that money. He's never been. It's never been about that. That's never been what his life is like. To be honest with you, he would rather live off past deeds. That's really what his legacy is all about. To be honest with you, it's someone who put out a bunch of shit content and a whole lot of it, and used that as the foundation for where he is now. But then just off that, especially if some of you guys just even know just a little bit of what all this is built on, you could see why it all fell apart. And because the foundation wasn't solid. Yeah, you put out a lot of content, but was it good content? Was it even quality content? Yeah, you have a lot of people, excuse me, back in those days who said that because I've gone and looked at some of his old videos, that said that they love you, they love your content, keep going, this helps me with this, that, and the third. You've banned the majority of them, or you've certainly given those people reason to leave, or you've pushed them away. Kind of makes a lot of those videos, and to be perfectly honest with you, a lot of the comments in those videos hollow. It's kind of like looking at an actual time capsule. I've seen, and some of those names look real familiar. Like some of those, a lot of those people who used to praise Phil back in the day are the same ones now who are literally saying praise be almighty on a regular basis. It's amazing how times have changed. And I guess that right there kind of coincides with what I'm saying with him going to this 12-hour marathon. Despite the fact that for a year, if not a little bit longer, people have been asking for this, and he kept saying no. He couldn't. He wasn't going to put his health at risk. Yet again. DSP News.
Definitely want to listen to your thoughts on this. Okay? So here's the deal. I wanted to do this marathon before Sekiro releases. The reason being, I'm afraid that if I do it when Sekiro releases, like afterward, that people will just be angry. Because I think when Sekiro comes out, that's got to be my main focus that people are going to want to see every day as, you know, the main gameplay stream for the most part. And I don't want to take away from Sekiro because I'm decided to do a marathon, you know, for a different reason. You see what I mean? So I was thinking, I want to do it before Sekiro, okay? But I'm already doing the retrospective event this week, so I'm thinking you can't do it this week. You can't do 2 events in 1 week. So I was thinking next week, maybe around midweek, right? Like maybe like Wednesday of next week, so a week after the retrospective event.
The retrospective event's going to fail anyway, so that doesn't really matter either which way, to be honest. It is what it is. All he's going to do is expose something else that we didn't know, or something else that we had forgotten, or something that he's already lied about previously. As far as I'm concerned, the retrospective event is like a back in time episode without being entertaining. To be honest, like, you know, when you go to a Tevin back in time stream, praise be, it's entertaining, and that he gives you a lot of the backstory that goes along with a lot of that stuff. When you go and see a Phil's retrospective, I'm just waiting to see how he's going to expose himself. That's really all I really care about. And a lot of the rest of it is basically John, some type of self-masturbation about whatever trip he went on, another segment on how he caught gout, and that's pretty much the end of it for me. There's really nothing else. So, I mean, the retrospective event is not really doing him any favors. The first one, obviously it's the first of anything, so it's going to usually do well. The second one, and then this one's going to be, it's going to be passe too. But, you know, we'll see.
But now people are like, oh, well, you should do it on a weekend because that's when most people can attend. And I'm like, yeah, but if I do it on the weekend, then I'm interfering with Sekiro. I can't do it this weekend because I'm just doing the retrospective event tomorrow. Then it's like 3 days later, another marathon for the same purposes. You know what I mean? Like, it's you got to space these things out. You see what I mean? So I don't know.
If that was the case, then why isn't there more time between the second retrospective stream, or retrospective event, and the third one? If you have to space these things out, I'm saying. To be honest, like, there should be like a couple of months in between these two, to be honest with you. Semantics, I suppose.
I don't know how to do this to make it make sense. Okay. Here's my thoughts on what I would like to do during the event. Basically a combination of all the things that I really enjoy and you guys have been enjoying recently. So, for example, I would probably want to do a little bit of Street Fighter, since you guys have been enjoying me playing Street Fighter recently, and that's something that's from my roots, that I grew up playing, and I know that every time I play it's entertaining. You can see high-level gameplay.
Over 1,800 milligrams of sodium. This is one of the saltiest things.
And even though it causes rage, it's also pretty fun. So that could definitely be one of the segments.
It's funny too, actually, now that I think about it. Excuse me, because that was from That's from the Halloween stream. You know, the one that Tevin allegedly messed up. That was a funny excuse. But anyway, that was the Nightmare Burger or whatever. And he's sitting there talking about all the, I don't know, he basically sounds like an old woman complaining about how much calories and how much sodium's in it, all this, that, and the third. But ladies and gentlemen, he did eat it. And he did finish it. So, seems to be a bit, I don't know, unnecessary to bring all of that up, to be honest. You know, not everybody in your fan base, Phil, has gout. So, I don't know if you have to look out for their own well-being. That and Google is your friend. I'm sure they can look all that up if that's something they're concerned with. To be honest with you, I wouldn't have eaten the thing anyway, but, you know, whatever. There were plenty of burgers with a chicken patty on it, but it didn't have to look like that. So, just saying. Anyway, let's continue.
I think I want to play Modern Warfare Remastered. Why? Because that's a game I've been doing really well at, getting crazy kill streaks in, and you guys have found it very entertaining. At the same time, I think I want to do some kind of battle royal. I don't know if it'll be Apex or Blackout, because that is something also that I've been really enjoying recently and excelling at. If I do Blackout, okay.
Real quick, you guys see the theme? That, oh, I want to play games that I'm doing really, really well at, and in turn, you guys are coming out to see. It's almost like I'm not really caring about entertaining you people. I just want to do shit that's going to be self-glorifying for myself, to be honest. You know what I mean? Because, ladies and gentlemen, there's entertainment in anything. Whether you're playing a game extremely well or extremely poorly. There are plenty of people out there who play games extremely well and they're just boring as shit. Nothing personal, it's just how the situation goes. It's like anything else. But for Phil, he wants to continue to try to paint himself in this positive light. And more importantly, what he's chasing, excuse me, that no one really brings up, is that he wants to have an air, a sense of real credibility, legitimacy, if you will. And so he chooses games that he does well in, goes ahead and pads the fact that, oh, a lot of people really come out for it, and then runs from there. Modern Warfare, he gets beasted on pretty well. I'm not saying his numbers aren't great, but it's not like he's running in and out of those lobbies with like a 6, a 7, or a 12 or a 12.0 KD. So let's be honest about that. And as it pertains to a battle royal, unless Brian and Kekken are going to come out to carry him, and Blackout is just going to hide in bathrooms for like 15 minutes. I don't know if that's entertaining. And if you want to use those little stepping stools as, no pun intended, as the apex of your success in those games, then that just kind of shows how petty you are. It kind of shows a lack of a lot of things, to be honest with you. To be perfectly honest. It's something that I saw on Twitter by what's that guy's name? I think that he calls himself the Dreamcast guy, or something along those lines. But I watch a little bit of him every once in a while, and he had brought up Phil recently, and said, well, it's probably a while ago now, and he had said that when you look at someone like Phil Burnell, he's not a gamer. He doesn't want to get good at games. He's never tried to be good at games. He just does it. It is what it is. Now, that's something that people have been saying within this Detractor community for a long time, and it still reigns true. And if someone who's an outsider to all of that points that out, it only makes it that much more legitimate. The thing is Phil won't reach out to that person because he doesn't know him, he's not familiar with him, and he doesn't want to risk anything. Unlike if Rich from Review Tech USA calls him out, he'll throw shots at him all day because he really doesn't like Rich. Like, if anything else, he really hates him. It kind of all falls to the same tune. Phil has always been someone who will take the W no matter what. Even if it's not even really a W. He'll just take it and run with it because it's all he can grasp. Whatever it takes to go ahead and give himself his own little gold star, he'll take it and move with it. That's kind of sad, especially at 36, where, you need one match in Blackout after 15 minutes of camping to kind of brighten your night up. If that's the case, then life hasn't treated you well. Or maybe you haven't treated life well. Dspnews.
That's going to give me ample opportunity to interact with you guys, because Blackout gives me that opportunity to kind of talk with you and not have to be hyper-focused on the gameplay, okay? Now, in addition to that, what I also want to do is something retro. I want to do something throwback and retro and really fun. So I was thinking two different things. Either playing one of the Donkey Kong Country games, alright, or instead of that, possibly doing a, Super Mario RPG. Or maybe both. Because those are both, I get the feeling Donkey Kong Country will be rage-inducing, but also fun and challenging. While Super Mario RPG is a game I played multiple times as a kid. I absolutely love that game. And I never touched it. So I think both of those would be something...
So then you must have not loved it very much then if you never touched it. That, and this is a nice way to try to get in some Nintendo money, too. Good job on that, Phil.
Completely different. Alright? And I'm thinking of maybe doing a segment where I just talk with you guys for like an hour, just to kind of relax and do some throwback, do some throwback talk about my history as a gamer and just chilling, okay? Amongst other things, maybe there'll be even more time for more stuff during that event. I don't know. But that's kind of my thoughts. I think that if I do a good variety of stuff during this event, let's say each segment's 2 hours. Let's say I do 2 hours of Donkey Kong Country, 2 hours of Blackout, 2 hours of Street Fighter, 2 hours of Modern Warfare, segments of 2 hours, right? I think that would work out very well. And then maybe finish it with the segment where I just talk with you guys to end the session. The way I'm thinking about it is 10 a.m. to 10 p.m. All right, 12
So there
hours.
you go. There's no flexibility in any of that. He already has it all planned out in his head. He's giving them the illusion that, things can be added, things can be taken away, but in truth, he already has it all laid out. And if I had to guess, if a game starts to sandbag, meaning that he doesn't get a lot of contributions or support during that game, he can just cut that game out, bring the next game up, and stretch that out. Because Phil's good at sandbagging games anyway, or just dropping them outright and putting something else in. This is no different. So it's funny how, for example, Mario RPG. Oh, I love it. This, that, and third. One of the beacons in my childhood. If that game doesn't do well within its first 30 to 45 minutes, he'll drop it and move it on to the next game. So how much did he really love it? And since he hasn't played the game since he was a kid, he must have not have really cared about it, because he would have played it before now. It's funny how this 10-year legacy from a real gamer is spotted with a whole bunch of new releases and not a whole lot of retro. I'm not saying that he didn't do any retro, because he has he did back in Connecticut. He had a collection of retro games up there on his shelf. Never played any of them on stream. And has admitted plenty of times that he doesn't really play games on his off time. He never really did. I don't know. Semantics, I suppose.
Although there will be breaks. Don't get me wrong, I'm gonna definitely have to have a break there to have like a sandwich or something. There's no way I can go 12 hours and not eat. I'll fucking pass out. Yeah, I'm a gamer! Alright, and I'm sure there'll be bathroom breaks of 15 minutes or so every once in a while while I'm transitioning between the games and stuff. But, for the most part, 12 straight hours. Alright, I think it would be a great idea for this stream. Now, of course, like I said, the whole point here would be to raise funds for my taxes, so again, it would be another ample opportunity for people to come by and contribute and get recognized for their contributions.
I e-bag, right? You're constantly asking your viewers and your fans for contributions.
And hopefully this event will be successful. I really need it to be successful. I mean, make no bones about it. I'm not joking, I'm not exaggerating, and I'm certainly not just saying this for the sake of saying it. I really need to raise funds during this event, because if I don't, I don't know what I'm going to do.
By the way, hint, hint, sell the house. No, I don't want to have to sell my house.
I don't want to lose my house, but there's only so much I can do. I'm working my butt off with the streams, and now I'm doing special events and everything. Like, I'm trying to go all out this month to see what I can do to get out of this hole I'm in. And hopefully it works out, We'll see. I gotta stay positive. I gotta believe that things are gonna work out,
What I'm hoping for is the best. I'm hoping that we'll have some generous parties who will step up and contribute and help. What I'm actually really hoping, too, is that I can get a lot of money. The bottom line, guys, is I hope that I can continue to be here and entertain you and be honest with you about games on a daily basis, forever. As long as I want to do it. As long as I'm capable of doing it. I love this.
That's just coming up. Now, my question to you guys is, number one, what do you think of that lineup? All right? What do you think of that lineup? And number two, how would you feel about it being a week from Wednesday? So instead of, not tomorrow, but it would be, I guess, the 20th of March. How would you feel about that? And the reason I say that is I don't want to do the event and no one shows up. I don't want to do the event and people are like, well, it would have been more successful if you did this or did this or did this. This is just based off of all the feedback I've gotten from you guys in the last month that I've been talking about this.
It's funny. For someone who's supposedly so desperate for back tax money, or whatever the case may be, he doesn't sound... how he sounds and his plight don't match up. Like, when he came out with the whole back business tax in 2017, he kind of looked the part. I've said this before, but he kind of looked the part. He looked like he got caught up on some bullshit. He finally got caught, because I think he knew what he was doing from the beginning and whatnot. He blamed the tax attorney back in Connecticut because he could. But I think he knew what he was doing, and he ended up getting caught up. He was butthurt that he got caught up, and he saw the amount of money he owed, and he came off at least as sincere as a liar can. He came off very sincere when he asked for that money. Now, what happened to all of that money and where all that money went is still very questionable, but at least that's one of my general takeaways of it. He did have a tax issue. He did pay it. Now, when we look at this situation proper, I'm not feeling it. I'm feeling like this is just a cash grab. This isn't really sincere. Not to say that anything that he does is sincere, really, outside of a few questionable situations. This feels like it's just a cash grab. It's just a way to get some quick money for something else that's coming up. And that's it. Because he's not really pushing a narrative. Even doing this 12-hour marathon, which one could take in as being a sign of desperation, doesn't even really feel it. Because at the end of the day, he's going to be dictating all the terms and everything anyway. So it's going to be almost an easy fix, so to speak. Almost like the transition from being paid by YouTube exclusively and going over to Twitch. He could have done that a long time ago. He chose not to until he was forced to. This seems really no different. So, I don't know. I feel like that. I feel like this it's going to fail just on the general merit that it doesn't come across as him. He doesn't seem as desperate as he says he is, and the situation doesn't seem nearly as dire as it seemed. I mean, to be honest with you, with the back tax situation, he probably was sitting on some of that money still. He probably still had the money to cover all of that. He decided to beg for it because it was easy. And ever since then, he's tried to almost throw everything on the fan base. Oh, it's not just back taxes, but I really need you guys to help me cover my bills now. Oh, I need you guys to help me cover this, that, and the third. He literally turned them into welfare. Galtopian welfare, if you will. That's literally what he's done. And then he sits on this whole 10-year legacy as if that holds any merit. Like, this is what you guys need to continue to support. But they're not going to drag him on till he hits 20 years or 30. So it's almost like when Wings of Redemption said, I don't give a shit about any of this. I'm just going to go ahead and I'm just trying to squeeze as much as I can out of it. It sounds like Phil's doing the exact same thing. Except for Phil and his infinite wisdom and his omnipotence. I'm not going to leave anywhere, but I'm going to start bleeding you guys a little more right now. We're not going to wait until I really am at the end of my ropes and I hit rock bottom. I'm just going to bleed you guys now. You guys will go onto the altar and become sacrifices for me now. That's really kind of what it seems like. DSP News.
I've kind of pooled all your suggestions together into this idea. The one thing that I am disappointed about is that I agree that I think that maybe doing this during a weekend might work out better, but I don't know what else I could do. You know, I can't have it cut into other stuff. Now, some people are saying, do a marathon of Sekiro. That's a terrible idea. For multiple reasons. Number one, doing a 12-hour marathon on a game that's hyper difficult, which everyone's saying it is just going to make me play like shit. It's going to ruin the playthrough. What's going to happen is I'm going to sour to the game, and after playing it for like 4 hours, I'm going to be like, God damn, I don't want to play this anymore. I want to break, but now I force myself to do a stupid marathon, and I'm going to end up not liking the game. I can tell you that right now. Like, Dark Souls, I really enjoy. If I played 12 hours of Dark Souls, I would probably never want to play Dark Souls ever again, and I know that's exactly what's going to happen with Sekiro. I just know it, okay? I'm not stupid here.
Very, very, very hypocritical. I'm hypocritical.
And I've done this for many, many years. The reason that I do digestible streams of 4 hours max is because I know that if I play games longer than that, I'm going to end up getting angry. Alright, I know it. I'm just going to get bored or angry or whatever. So,
well, then, why are you doing what you do then? It's obvious that you don't like video games, so why do you force yourself to keep doing it? Like, to be honest with you, and I've said this, when you look at his streams, they're basically how he used to run his YouTube channel back in the day, except for he's on screen. That's really it. It's really the same shit. If anything else, he was way more entertaining back then, I guess. I don't know. I didn't watch him back then. But he was way more entertaining. At least that's what people say. But outside of that, it's the same formula for the most part. But it's obvious that Phil doesn't like the games that he plays. He doesn't like gaming in general. If he could get paid off just him talking, he would. And he probably can. He just won't do it. Because he can't fire the shots off at people like he wants to. So he has to hide behind the industry of gaming to continue to give him legitimacy. Sorry. To continue to give him legitimacy. A legitimacy that's not there. You were never looked at as a gamer, to be perfectly honest with you. Because if you did, those people who grew up wouldn't be the ones that are shitting on you now. Just saying. And it wasn't like back then that people didn't say he was bad at what he was doing anyway. He's known for being a shit person. And in turn, he's a shit gamer. Now, not to say that every person that's a shitty person is a shitty gamer, but Phil, for whatever reason, hit the lottery on that and hit both. Who cares? If you can only sit down and play a game for 4 hours because you're going to get mad at it or get bored, you're not then you obviously don't enjoy playing games. So stop doing it. It's as easy as that. Why continue to put yourself through the mental gymnastics if you really don't give a shit? Oh, because it pays you well? But then it just translated back into the footage, back into the stream. If you don't give a shit about something, your YouTube videos are going to suck. If you don't give a shit about it, your streams are going to suffer. And if you don't give a shit about it, you're going to go ahead and turn against everybody that's in your chat, all the people who donate to you, all the people who are real fans. You're going to just turn on them and then turn them away. I don't know. That sounds kind of familiar, don't it? I don't know. That's semantics. That's detractor logic, I suppose.
It isn't. Honestly, it's a bad idea, guys. As much as you guys are getting hyped for Sekiro, I don't get super hyped for new releases these days anymore. I just don't.
Man, this job sucks. It's a grind. I just do it for the money. Phil only does it because of money. In this only for the money? Yes.
If this were an RPG, you know what I mean? I'd say okay, but 12 hours straight of Sekiro is an awful idea. Absolutely awful. And I don't want, the thing is, at the expense of me trying to raise funds, I don't want to ruin arguably what's going to be one of the best games and best playthroughs of the year just for the sake of me making money. That's the other thing I need you guys to understand is like, yes,
This is my job, and it is about making money, but at the same time, I am a gamer. I am a lifelong fan of video.
I don't want to hear that. Ladies and gentlemen, this is him yet again, trying to separate himself from what he feels are the shills of YouTube and Twitch. This is just another example of it. In your first sentence, I do this for a living, but I don't want to come across yada, yada, yada. I can't remember what character in Game of Thrones that said it, but anything that you say before but can essentially be excused. It's basically incidental. For Phil, I think it applies to him more than most people. Because, one, this is your living, right? It's not a good living because that's why you're in all this debt. It's not a good living because you owe all these back taxes, allegedly. It's not a good living because it's not supporting you. He spends way more time, believe it or not, he spends way more time begging than he does actually playing games. And when he plays games, he doesn't even provide much in commentary. He really doesn't. He just periodically oinks something out. Just so he could, in his own mind, make it seem like it's transformative. Which doesn't even matter anymore, but whatever. But that's essentially it. He doesn't provide anything else. He really doesn't. So you can't sit there and say, I don't want to exploit this game, because that's really what he's trying to say. I don't want to exploit this game without any real incentive. I'm going to play Sekiro on my own because I expect a bunch of people to come out and give me money and do this, that, and the third. So why would I want to screw that up while doing it? Why would I want to screw that opportunity up? I'm sorry. Instead of putting it into a marathon where people are just going to come out, watch me rage, and then not come back and watch me play the actual game on its own. That's the reason why he doesn't want to play Sekiro, or he doesn't want to do a marathon of it anyway. And truth be told, he's theoretically right. I mean, it is what it is. Every dog has his day. No pun intended on that. But he's theoretically right. He's going to, if I have to guess, he's going to fail at Sekiro either which way. Let's be honest. So he might as well go ahead and bleed that for the weeks and months ahead anyway. The marathon itself is going to fail. And don't get me wrong, I don't have precedence or anything. It's what he does. What does Phil do that really is successful? The only thing I can honestly tell you is he figured out a way to con people. But that's basically it. He doesn't have anything else. And even though Phil is no longer part of the bounty system on Twitch, or at least it's assumed that way. If Sekiro comes up, he's definitely going to apply for it, and he might actually get it. So why mess up future opportunities for right now? But then again, ladies and gentlemen, does that not go back to what I said about his desperation or his lack thereof? It doesn't sound like he's in the amount of trouble that he says he's in. Because if not, he would not only pull out all the stops, but he would do underhanded shit to try to get over. It's the Phil Burnell way. But he doesn't seem to be doing that. It seems to be, in some strange way, he is trying to look ahead a little bit to see what opportunities can come about later. The marathon's just there. You know what I mean? But there isn't any substance to it. It is very much just hollow. A lot like a lot of his words. Let's continue. DSP News.
Games, I will always be a fan of video games, and it's my occupation. I have to take it seriously. I don't want to ruin a potential great game and project for the sake of making a buck. So I don't want, I'm going to do what's best overall for the product that I put out. And so I know doing a marathon of Sekiro is an awful idea. It is. It's going to ruin everything, and I'm not going to do that. Okay?
The whole reason is
Laziness? Good lord. Learn how to play a game, dude. Put some effort into it.
That the reason that this marathon I think will work is because your feedback, guys, over the last month has been, if you're going to do a marathon of stuff you're going to enjoy. Do not play things that will constantly make you rage-induced. Do not do things that are going to piss you off, because then when people come by, oh, I heard that Phil's looking for help, and then they see me raging and swearing, getting angry at game devs and stuff. Why am I gonna contribute now? He sounds like an asshole. You see what I mean? Versus you come by during a fun, positive event where I'm playing games that I enjoy and I'm interacting with you guys. Because that's the other thing. Sekiro, when am I going to interact with you? I'm going to have a 12-hour stream where I can't even interact because I'm so hyper-focused. You know what I mean? So there you go. Swaggins, please stop. Now you're saying the marathon's all shooters. It's not. I literally just said platforming games, RPGs, fighting games. It's not all shooters. Just because you just want to see Sekiro doesn't mean that it makes sense. Okay, so stop it. I can tell you right now, I can tell you're super hyped for Sekiro like many, many, many people. Please stop, okay?
Yet again, he said at the beginning of this that he wanted feedback, right? He threw out 5 games, or 4 or 5 games, and he wanted feedback. But as I said, the schedule has already been cemented. He's just throwing it out. He's just throwing the illusion that you guys want this. He's throwing the illusion out that it can be changed if you guys, decide to vote something in or vote something out. Then Swaggins comes along, gets his ass off the porch, and decides to speak up and gets smacked down. But in him getting smacked down, let's see if Swaggins can be useful. He points out that this is all going to be shooters, right? And in theory, Swaggins is probably going to be right. Because if I had to guess, the platforming games might not do well. He's hoping that Nintendo brings the kiddies out. But in truth, it's probably not. It's probably not going to happen. And it's probably going to be a death fest like anything else. And then he's just going to rely on the shooters to carry the day. And then the talking segment. So, in truth, Swaggins is probably on the mark with that. And Phil obviously must know that. Hence the reason why he smacked him down so quickly. He didn't have to acknowledge what Swaggins said. He could have let that shit go and keep it moving. I don't know, Phil. And if you know Phil, when he sees something in the chat, if he can either pick it apart to make himself look good, or if it strikes a nerve, he's going to call it out. Sounds to me like the Swaggins ain't struck a nerve.
Alright. Now, all that being said, I don't really know how to make the marathon happen on the weekends. Okay, I don't. And it sucks because I know it would make sense to do it then, but I just can't. Like I said, I don't want to cut into Sekiro, so it's probably going to have to be the middle of next week. Okay, guys? And then, so, here's the deal. The last thing, so this is going to have the retrospective event tomorrow, the marathon probably a week from then, and then my birthday week, which is the first week of April, I'm going to probably decorate the office like I did last year, probably with the same decorations as last year, and that week, I'll also see about doing any special stuff.
That's another thing, too. So, you're supposed to be a gamer, yeah? You're supposed to be a real gamer, and yet you're going to decorate for your birthday? You're what, 36? That's really what we're doing? What's up, Phil? Are you like in like a Twilight Zone like time loop where you're always 15 years old crying for that Wolverine figure? Like, what's the point of all that? Don't get me wrong. Like, I assume as you get older, I wouldn't say your birthday becomes less and less meaningful, but you don't need all the glitz and glamour, right? I think when you get older, you want to have people around you who care, you know what I'm saying, who you care about and they care about you. And that should generally be enough. Even gifts don't need to be exchanged. Shit. You know, it is what it is. Someone bring you a bottle of liquor or a bottle of wine and whatnot, like, hey, but let's have a couple of drinks to celebrate your birthday. One can live off that. You know, one can live with that, to be honest with you. Phil comes across, though, as one of these individuals who he wants the whole house decorated saying, we love you, Phil. Happy birthday, Phil. You're the greatest, Phil. And there should be a shitload of presents on the table, and there should be a fucking fat-ass cake that should be able to give him gout in a week or so, and a bunch of ice cream, and supposedly the best pizza in on the West Coast, and all this, that, and the third, and all these fans who can't be there because Phil doesn't want them there, throwing him money through Twitch and Patreon to celebrate his birthday. I feel like that's what he wants. Because if you think about last year when that cake was made for him. Well, if it was actually made. Some people thought it was store-bought. But when he had his cake last year and he was eating it on stream, doesn't he look like any kid who would be doing that? That's kind of what it looked like. He looked like a kid. He looked like a kid trying to celebrate his own birthday by himself. And I'll elaborate on that. Think about how butthurt he was, kind of, sorta. He tried to hide it, but he really can't hide shit. When he said, "Oh, I tried to get Kat to come on stream and have a piece of cake with me. I really wanted her to, man. But she just didn't want to, man. She didn't want it, you know. And I didn't want to force her, but I mean, it would have been nice to, but she really didn't want to. So you're telling me this chick that you live with, that's your soulmate, can't come on stream and eat a piece of cake with you? She couldn't even give you that. She couldn't give you 5 minutes to eat a piece of cake with you at all." Or maybe if she didn't even have to eat any cake, she could have just sat there and read the chat off and whatnot while birthday contributions, if you will, were coming through. And she didn't even want to give you that. I don't know, Phil. It seemed a bit like a downer. I never went over that video where he ate that cake, did I? Or did I? I should. Just for shits and giggles. Actually, I might wait till his actual birthday to do that. If anybody remembers, hold me to that and whatnot, and I'll see if I can make that happen. But, yeah, it didn't seem, he just seemed like an overgrown kid just trying to relive earlier days, which is kind of sad. It just goes to show that we have an individual who can tell you everything that everybody else does wrong, but can't even look into the mirror to see his own faults. And while at the same time trying to live the happier moments of his life, because in truth, ladies and gentlemen, he has nobody else. Not at all. Oh well. Dspnews.
Kind of my birthday building up. That would be the last opportunity, you know, for me to raise anything. Because like I said, it's either going to be probably the second or third week of April that I'm going to Connecticut to visit my parents. So that's it. Like, that's the last hurrah, the last opportunity for me to raise anything for my taxes before I'm out of here. So...
Give me your money. Let's face it, is a money factory. Please give me your monies.
We'll see how it goes, guys, alright? But that's the deal. That is kind of, you know, what I'm thinking. So please let me know what you think. And please don't tell me, oh, just completely throw out the entire idea and do a Sekiro marathon, because that's not going to happen. Alright, Swaggins had cheered and suggested Sekiro for the marathon. Nope. Superflash cheered, he said Sekiro for the marathon. Nope. Swaggins says, play Sekiro a little bit of the marathon. Nope. Oh my god. See what I mean? People get too hype about games. I'm sorry. I'm just being honest here, guys. And this is not me as a grumpy old man. This is me as a gamer who's been around the block the last 10 years. I've been covering new releases. You guys get so hyped for new releases that you get this, like, one-track mind mentality that this is all...
He used to do that. He still does that. That's why he keeps playing the new games early. If what he said was even remotely true, he wouldn't play the new releases the moment they come out. He'd wait. This is an idiot who had free games given to him through his MCN, and then now he lies about it and says it's a broken practice. He's someone who's paid for games early, lies about it, and calls other people shitheads for doing it. That's not fair. That's not giving people an equal ground. He is the same idiot who said recently that, oh, you guys don't have to go out and buy a game day one. You guys should wait. Wait until a review comes out. Wait until one of these asshole people who get early release copies come out with their opinion, and then decide whether you want to buy it or not. That's what, but he used to, you see the contradiction in that? The same people he used to shit on for getting review copies are now the same people he tries to suck off and say, wait a little bit and wait until they come out with their opinions and then consider buying the game early. Or sorry, just getting the game altogether. My apologies. Yet, he still buys games early. Or he still plays the games the moment they pop out. He still does that. So how are you not a hypocrite? So, and how are you not a fanboy? He's not a fanboy of the games. Let's get that perfectly clear. But he is a fanboy of new releases. New releases that will bring in the hype. I'm not going to do that whole slurping, sucking thing. He can go ahead and do that on his own. So, where does he really have a hoof to stand in any of this? You can't sit there and call people out and call them fanboys and this, that, and the third when you yourself are a fanboy. You're just not a fanboy to any release. To any, to any actual game itself outside of Street Fighter and whatnot. But you're certainly a fan of new releases, especially new releases that he watches on Twitter that people are hyped up about in the hopes that they'll come in and watch and play. Just my opinion, though. Dspnews.
All we want is this. And that's why once I start playing Sekiro, I know I don't want to interrupt it for a marathon. I know that would be an awful idea, but I also know making the marathon Sekiro is an awful idea. You know what I mean? Like, I know what I'm doing here.
Wrong. Wrong, 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 wrong. Wrong, 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 wrong. You're wrong.
So that's why I'm not going to make the mistake. I'm not going to ruin the playthrough. I'm not going to sour myself on the game, which is exactly what would happen. Sekiro, once it starts, will be a major playthrough that I cover in a major way, like just like any other major game. And I'm not going to, throw that for a loop with something crazy. You know what I mean? No, there's no podcast in the works, everyone. I told everyone it was never locked in. It was something I was planning, and it just didn't work out, honestly. So,
okay, stop. Because I've been kind of waiting for this. So, the podcast is something I had in the works, didn't fall through, so on and so forth. Why did you even talk about it? Let me give you Exhibit A. When Phil was talking about how the Detractors fucked up all of his sponsor deals, and that's why he couldn't do any sponsor deals, because the moment he announced them, they would get screwed up. Then, Exhibit B, he said that behind the scenes he had stuff worked out, but it all fell through, and this stuff that you didn't even know about, which means that no detractor, hater, or troll fucked those opportunities up, because they didn't know about it, which means you screwed yourself over. So, with that being said, let's come to Exhibit C. You're saying you sat there and promoted something in the hopes that people would probably screw it up, but in hopes that you could also catch some hype off of it, and then you ran from it. That's my guess. My guess was he was never going to do the podcast. And that's why he didn't announce, or if I remember correctly, he never actually came out and said who he was doing the podcast with. I think the Drunken Peasants was thrown out there, and he basically moved off of that and said, oh, well, it's just going to be a bunch of guys, this, that, and the third, that I'm going to hang out with, and this, that, and the third, and so on and so forth. But, play Street Fighter or whatever the scenario was supposed to be. But he never actually came out and said, I'm doing it with the Drunken Peasants. So he basically did all this for false hype and then let it go the moment that, if I'm guessing, the moment that it didn't fit his interest. So then why even announce it? Which also goes back to our Exhibit A, B, and C about who really messed up those sponsor deals. Because at the end of the day, if someone chooses, for example, if someone comes over here to GTG Network Productions and chooses to sponsor me, yeah? And I go ahead and announce it, right? If shit gets fucked up for whatever reason, right? Whether, I don't know, DSP's fanboys decide to come out and do some shit, or some people over here who don't like me decide to do some shit, whatever the case may be. If someone comes out and messes it all up, and they at least give me the opportunity to have an open sense of dialogue, then that can probably be worked out, depending on what it is that they find that is concerning to them. Because at the end of the day, when you're being sponsored, you're representing that business. Phil didn't even get that. So when Phil says, oh, these people went ahead and showed them a bunch of stuff and it fucked everything up, I don't think it was as easy as they sent them a video of you flapping and that's it. Somebody took a little bit of time to really go ahead and look at who Phil Burnell was. And when they saw all the shit, they were like, nah, we can't touch him. He's literally toxic waste. No pun intended. So we can't do it. And then any potential business opportunities opportunities that would have came later, they all had to go through the same thing. It's easy to take somebody's word on Twitter, for example, but you have to actually go in and look into that individual themselves. That's what happened to Phil. And he has years upon years upon... He has over a decade of toxic fucking waste that he never tried to clean up. And it came back on him. He can sit there and blame the detractors, trolls, and haters all he wanted. What would have happened, ladies and gentlemen, let me give you a scenario that I was told about that might have been a thing, but I don't know. So, so we'll say alleged. What if one of these potential sponsorships that he had behind the scenes that he was allegedly trying to work on, what happens if another Twitch streamer ended up hearing about that? Because just in case some of you guys don't know, which I know some of you guys do, a lot of these people who've been with sponsorship companies for a really, really long time, some of them have actually invested back into the company. I'm not saying that they have say-so. I'm not saying that they're like shadow shareholders or anything along those lines. Some of them might be, look at Keem as an example and shit. He usually has his hands on whatever he sponsors in. But they have some influence, but they don't have some influence, if that makes sense. If any of them had caught wind that DSP was coming on board, they could easily go to, I'm going to call the person a handler, or whoever the person is that they run their concerns or grievances through, and be like, hey, he's not going to be a good look, and I can prove why. So it's very possible that any of those alleged behind-the-scene deals that he was trying to work out, if they even existed, were screwed over. Not even screwed over. They were dropped because people on the inside who give a damn about what they're doing, and in turn give a damn about the sponsorship deals and partnerships that they have established, don't want a piece of shit like Phil coming in and fucking it all up. That's what my general thought is. That's what was essentially laid out to me. And it sounds about right. Now, like I said, whether it's true or not, I don't know. It was definitely a great story that someone had told, and it kind of falls into something that we can all believe anyway. But yet again, Phil himself did say that he had sponsorship deals behind the scenes. He had things in the works, and they fell through. But that's nobody else's fault out here in the public sphere, because we didn't sphere. You know what I mean? Is because we didn't say, because he never told anybody. So that means you must have screwed those deals up. And when I mean you, I mean what you've put out over the years, over the last decade, is what fucked you over. Not anything else. I don't know. Just a random opinion, of course. But still, I thought it was a nice thing to share. Dspnews.
Doing any podcast, no. In reality, the truth of the matter is that I don't want to go on a podcast and have it, instead of being something positive, turn into something negative. And I'm actually not saying anything against any hosts or anything. It has nothing to do with that. What honestly I'm afraid of is, like, let's say I go on a podcast and all the haters, which they would show up, okay? So now you have a new audience of people who are being exposed to me for the first time. I don't need the sea glide fragment. A new, group of people being exposed to me for the first time. They look at a chat and all they see is people saying, oh, this is the guy who masturbated for the thousands of children.
That's what I'm known for.
You got exposed for doing that.
I got completely exposed. Absolutely.
You did. You didn't even know the camera was on.
You know every inch of my dick and balls.
Right?
You know every inch of my dick and balls.
It's the guy watching his Twitch.
Is that really him? Is he the one that got caught, Matt?
Yes.
Really? He was the guy that got caught masturbating in front of children. I think he's like
literally
30.
watching his
He's
Twitch
like in his 30s
right
or something. He's in his 30s and he did that in front of children.
That's right. Yes.
But I've seen so much. I'm a fan.
What?
I don't know what to say.
And is a pedophile and abuses women. She's been sleeping downstairs recently because she's been choking so much that it's been keeping me up. So she's actually been sleeping downstairs recently. And so it's good because I can actually get my sleep.
And he had an escort. And, like every negative thing that's ridiculously...
Let's talk about that for a minute. I'm sorry, I've been meaning to hit that for a minute. First things first. When those guys were basically exposing him and shit and calling him out on his bullshit, he seemed like he was almost proud of it. Now, most of you guys would take that as just some bullshit bravado and him trying to laugh it off and be sarcastic, but it seemed like he was actually proud of it, which is kind of pathetic. Now, as it pertains to the whole cat situation, it's very obvious that she may have chosen to go downstairs and go to sleep on her own. Maybe it's too cold upstairs. I don't know. Maybe Phil sweats too much and the smell was getting to her. I don't know. I mean, you know what I'm saying? No one wants to just leave bacon out on the counter. If you did it for like a day or so, I'm sure it's going to be nauseating to you. I would assume sleeping next to Phil is no different. Now, with thank God for Panda and her fragrant soap. But anyway, in any case, the fact that it was keeping him up at night, what does that really mean? Phil Burnell will sit there and get up at like 10 or 9 or whatever, gets on stream at 10:30, 10:45 sometimes because he's late at times, allegedly streams till 10. That's not actually the case. He usually stops at about 9:30. Excuse me. He'll go over a little later sometimes, but that's a give or take. He uploads all of his videos. If you actually have ever seen Phil update a video around the end of that stream, you'll see that all 2 or 3, usually all 4 videos are up within an hour of each other. You know what I'm saying? Well, sorry, all 4 videos will be up within the hour, I should say. So that ends that, and then he's downstairs to watch either SmackDown or to drink, or he sits into his chat on he'll be in his little monitor room on Twitch and talk it up with the fellas and shit, and talk about if I had to guess, some shit that's going on Kiwi Farms, some people that they suspect to be trolls, which is the reason why people will be on his stream one day and then they're banned the next day. Just saying, wink, wink. And then he goes downstairs, makes himself a drink, and watches SmackDown until Kat gets home and cooks some food. And then even after that, I doubt that he goes to bed when she goes to bed. He's probably up till 4 o'clock in the morning either which way. So, if someone who has shown the penchant for doing things the way that I've just described it, or at least just similar to it, do you really think Kat was sleeping downstairs around the same time that he's down there drinking gin and watching SmackDown? Especially since if he's not going to go to bed till 4 o'clock in the morning anyway, by the time she's supposed to be up early, she's supposed to be up at like 7. So I would assume she's already asleep. If she was really sick, right? Not to say that she wasn't, but if she was as sick as he says, then that means he must be chilling up in his office still, yeah? Or he's watching TV in the bedroom, if the TV's still there. Because he was using the TV that was in their bedroom as a monitor for a little while until he ended up coming up with the money to get a new monitor. I know, it seems kind of silly. So, that just off the muscle, that doesn't sound right. And I know some of this you guys might remember, about him swapping out the TV in the bedroom for a monitor, because this is when he was living by himself, so he didn't have a need to watch TV in the bedroom anyway, and then with his pension to go down there and watch wrestling or Netflix or whatever till 4 o'clock in the morning, it's just not going to switch up, even though Kat was sick for like a week, maybe even a little longer. I don't know. It might be just semantics.
Untrue about me all being said at once in one area, and all that's going to happen is anyone newcomer who hears about me will be like, what the fuck is that? Right? And in addition, I hate to say it, one of the actual things I'm really afraid of if I were to do a podcast is people coming in and saying really insulting things about my girlfriend, because, you know, they try to, and I can control that in my own streams. Like, I have a mod team that makes sure that stuff gets taken care of. When you're on someone else's podcast, you're at the reliance of whoever is working on that podcast, and you can't say, oh, by the way, I'm going to be on your podcast. You better have, like, a crack team of mods to make sure that people don't come in and insult my girlfriend's personal life or her looks or stuff about her past that has nothing to fucking do with anything related to me. Yeah, you can't. And so after weighing and balancing all the things that could happen, I said...
So wait, so you basically didn't go onto the podcast because of Kat, and the fact that you couldn't have control over someone else's stream chat. What? Now, here's the thing. I don't know why the Drunken Peasants, if it was them, I don't know why they'd want to have him on in the first place. So, I mean, I guess that's an unsolved mystery, I suppose. Second, because of Kat. But Kat doesn't watch any of your Kat doesn't watch any of your YouTube videos. And she doesn't really watch like Detractor content. You said that. Even though she was a fan of yours before you guys got together. So all of a sudden, when she dropped all of her social media and all of her shit, all of a sudden she stopped watching you too. But that doesn't make any sense, because in either the second or third stream that you guys did together, she says that occasionally she watches some of your stuff. Anyway, whatever. So you're afraid that she's going to be bothered by that. Why would she really even care? Was she going to go there with you? If she wasn't, then I would assume she was going to drop you off and do what she wanted. I would assume, though, you wouldn't let her do that, though, because, one, if you wanted to pick up and leave because something triggered you, you want to be able to pick up and leave. So, in theory, she wouldn't have needed to drive you out there anyway. You could drive yourself. If rumors are true that she actually has her own car. So, why is Kat even a component in any of that? What even makes any of that valid? That's the first thing. Second thing, what's going to make you think... I'm going to play up to Phil's ego here a little bit. Not really, but let's play with it. What's going to make you think that one king is going to go to another king's kingdom, or a group of kings that rule over a kingdom, and let them dictate what their army does? How does that make sense? If you were doing a podcast, Phil, with someone else, and they had baggage, were you going to sit there and let some of their mods go ahead and co-mod with your moderators to make sure that shit doesn't happen? Nope. You definitely wouldn't do that, because you would sit there and say some dumb shit like, oh, this is my stream, and we'll handle it. So why wouldn't you just let them do the same? Why couldn't you tell them, hey guys, this might come up, this might come up, this might come up. Can you turn those into banned words or banned phrases, or is that something you could just tell your moderator team or whatever? Or could you even get a couple of your guys on your mod team to talk to a couple of my mods and just maybe we can work to something out? But Phil didn't want that. Phil wanted his mods in there with these guys, which could fuck their shit up, because they might have some whales over there. They might have some longtime viewers who support or contribute or whatever you want to word it. And they might have actually something to say, like a quick quiver, just something funny, a little bit of banter, and immediately they get banned and they're going to feel a certain type of way about that. And see, Phil don't care about that, but that's what Phil wants. Phil wants people, whether it's the detractors on his end or guys over there who engage in detractor content or just throw some quivers, he wants all that shit shut down. And he doesn't care what it costs them. But see, that's what happens when you're a piece of shit. You don't give a shit about how that affects other people, as long as you can get what you want. And there was no way anybody in their right mind was going to let Phil have any control. Phil didn't build up their platform. He didn't build up their audience. He can barely hold on to his own. So why would anybody relinquish power to him? If that's the case, he's a nut. He's an absolute nut. DSP News.
I don't think it was worth it. Like, the overwhelming amount of negative shit that could have happened as a result of this podcast versus any potential positives, I think the negatives outweighed the positives. And because of that, I said, you know what, I just don't think it's worth it to fuck with it. It's a shame, because I think it would have been something neat and something different to do. It's definitely outside of my comfort zone and the kind of stuff that normally I would have done. And I probably would have enjoyed doing it.
How are you going to enjoy doing it when you're a shut-in? What would you really have to talk about? Were you going to scour their Twitter timeline to see what they've been talking about and work off that? Just saying. Outside of that, what were you going to really bring to the conversation? I mean, Phil knows that anything he says up there would be under scrutiny. He knows that the detractors, trolls, and haters can get into that chat and be like, no, that's not how that really happened. This is how it happened. And if someone if someone else wants to hit me up on Twitter, I'll send you guys a link to prove it. Phil don't want that. He doesn't. There's 4 guys on there if he was going to the Drunken Peasants. There are 4 guys over there that he can reach out, that the haters, trolls, and detractors can reach out to on anything that he says. Anything that even remotely sounds like it's bullshit, that sounds off. There are 4 people that can be contacted at any given time. At least through Twitter, and be like, no, this is what really happened. Listen to this real fast. And one person can go ahead and shut his mic off and listen to what that video says, and it doesn't kill the flow of the show. So then Phil's screwed when they come back and be like, hey Phil, man, you know that thing you just said a couple minutes ago? I'm gonna have to call you on that because I heard this. And then they play the soundbite. What's Phil gonna do? He's gonna call himself a liar? I don't know.
I've done talk shows before or whatever, and I enjoy it. I enjoy discussing topics with people and just shooting the shit or whatever, which is actually exactly what it was going to be. There was only going to be a short segment about me. I was actually going to sit in on this show, this normal podcast these guys do, and be like a guest and talk about news topics and all kinds of fun stuff. But sadly, when I realized how much trolling I would have gotten, not only me but my girlfriend as well, I said, this is not worth it,
Yeah, Josh Russell Cigar says, besides last night's show, I noticed contributions have been slow. Hopefully things pick up. I'll be honest, they have been. This last week, for some reason, like, everything slowed down to a halt. There was one day where someone was incredibly generous at a late stream and gifted me like, you know, a bunch of hundreds of dollars. But outside of that, everything else has been kind of slow lately, and you know, there's not much I can do about it. All thing I can say is I hope that people are waiting for the special events, like for example tomorrow's.
And yet again, it shows how greedy he is. Oh, someone came in and gave me hundreds of dollars. Someone gave him $600. He doesn't want to say that though because he's afraid the number is going to intimidate him. Thing is though, is amongst his fan base, word spreads. So the $600, which is a large amount of money, right? Oh well, that was one person doing it and being generous. The rest of you guys still need to pump out that cash, which plenty of people have said that. So how's it a slow night when you got $600, man? When's the last night that Phil pulled $600 off the rip? When's the last time he pulled $500 in a night? That might cover a couple of days, maybe. So what's the problem? But see, he's so fucking greedy that he'll just take that one thing. Oh well, that was a special circumstance. Whenever someone gives him a large amount of money in one go, that's a special circumstance that don't count. You guys still got to give me money. Just like that Emerald 7 money, right? Just like that alleged King Tut money that you won and you didn't have to pay back, right? I don't know.
The marathon coming up next week, because I'm gonna need the help for my taxes. I hope people are saving up if that's what it is, because I don't know what else I'm gonna do. You got fucked up.
DSP, get a job.
Yeah, there you go.
Buddy.
Honest pay for honest work. Fuck you. I don't do honest work, asshole. Only suckers do. Only sucker works a 9-to-5 job. What pasta do you prefer? I prefer a penne. Oh! Easy to eat. Oh! Phil's a faggot. Phil's fat. Phil's a loser. Phil's a beggar. Phil's a...
Alright, ladies and gentlemen. So, there you go on that. Let's go ahead and get into the second broadcast. Let's see here. Let's go ahead and do this. Alright, so we are here with yet again with Snort Burnell, as you guys can tell. Dspgaming, I didn't know generic insults hurt, and modern DSP is not a censored DSP. Okay, here we go.
This is how I play the game! Oh my god! What the fuck?
Holy shit! That is an epic fucking intro, dude. And I have to warn everyone. Warning. What you may see right now is going to be absolutely disgusting. Sound good?
Alright, sounds good to me.
So, first of all, I just want to say there's a certain person who every night, overnight, usually does a small cheer or two and asks me a question. In general, these questions seem innocuous and not really toxic, but sometimes they get me going off on personal tangents and the like, and I don't mind it. However, someone sadly I don't want to say they how can I say it? Someone revealed to me that this person is not a very scrupulous...
How do I say this? They turned snitch. They turned rat. They became an informant. It's Nazi Germany over there, like I always fucking said, and everybody's watching everybody. Whether you're over there on Phil's chat or not. All those mods are over there watching each other on Phil's chat and off, and they rat out to each other. And they hold on to little tidbits that they can until they really need it if they're trying to move up in position. That's what it is. That goes back to what I said earlier about, yeah, I think I said it earlier, about them cannibalizing themselves over there. It's just the way it is. Everybody's shifting for position in a fucking dying movement that doesn't mean a damn to anybody. But they keep throwing money at it to give it legitimacy. That's what it is. So, what happened was someone came over, they ratted, and now you're going off of that. You had your little Gestapo do a little bit of investigating to see if it was true, and now that's why Genetic Gamer is getting called out. That's what happened.
This person. Alright. This person behind the scenes has been doing some pretty nasty stuff. I was provided with some chat logs showing that this person has been talking with Detractor saying, oh, gee, I wonder if we can get the FBI to investigate Phil for child porn. And I'm looking at this, I'm like, what the fuck is wrong with this person? Wow, this guy's like a nut job.
Hello, my children. Oh, yeah, show me those titties, kid.
You know, he's fucking nuts. So, I'm done with this guy. I banned him, and I'm not gonna put up with that crap anymore. If I see him, he's out of here. So no more of that. You may be just noticing, yeah, every day Phil's usually answering questions from a certain person. I'm just not gonna do it anymore. This guy's banned and not coming back.
I'm just going to ban.
Yeah, I'm not gonna deal with that shit. I'm just not, you know, it's fucked up, you know? You got people who act like they're fans, people who come by and interact in a positive fashion, and then behind the scenes are gonna do
And see,
stuff.
hold on real quick. And this is why, you could say this is one of the reasons why he's so paranoid, but he doesn't realize that the people who the people who are basically doing this, you know what I'm saying, around him, are doing this on purpose. This is how you manipulate Phil Burnell, is you feed into the already revolving door of isolation that he already has. And then you start making enemies out of each other. It's whoever can get to him first and spill the nonsense is the person who gets dropped out. Similar to what happened in Nazi Germany. Similar to what happened during Stalin's regime in Russia. And like any dictator, really. The inner circle all works the same. It's been tried and true for forever. If you're going to be an asshole and call yourself king, then you're going to have an inner council. And that inner council is going to have inner politics that's going to work against each other, and then in turn there's going to be conflict. No different. And that's how Phil's getting manipulated, and he don't even realize it. All someone has to do is take a smidgen, as Phil likes to call it, a smidgen of truth, and then just over embellish it over and over and over again. And then you can go ahead and send that shit out to the masses, and then there you go. Why not? Phil does it. He does it all the time. So they learned well. And that's how they keep playing him. Until he only has one or two left. And it's funny how shit got really out of fucking control once Brightside Viking got up and out of there. It's real convenient, okay? It's real convenient that Brightside Viking decides to go to war for you over there on Kiwi Farms, right? Falls on his axe, doesn't die. Then you end up getting him exiled, not just from Phil's little squandering little kingdom, if you want to call it that, but from Twitch altogether. He goes to Kiwi Farms, and then all of a sudden, all these people are coming around fighting to be the king's hand, if you will, if you want to use a Game of Thrones reference. You know what I'm saying? All fighting to be the top guy, or to be someone who's just influential. And then all of a sudden, dudes keep getting dropped out. People keep getting exposed for alleged shit, and they just keep falling by the wayside. I don't know. It's interesting. It's amazing how shit happens in Galtopia, at least northern Galtopia, anyway. Let's continue. I only report it. I don't know any of the inner workings of it. I just report on it. DSP News.
Like that, you know? I'm just not gonna fuck with this. Okay? So goodbye and good riddance to fucked up people who are fucked up in the head. Alright?
Save the Feed the Game charity says, don't put up with retarded trolls. Ban all of them, dude. You'll feel a lot better. Well, no one is retarded. That's ridiculous. What? What? King of hypocrisy. Pretty hypocritical, I agree. Don't say that. It's insulting. But certainly there's something wrong with these people. You know? Let's just think about this. Let's contact the FBI and try to get them to get Phil in trouble for child porn. What? What? Like, first of all, where does that reasoning even come from? Child porn.
You know what I mean? It's just like, what are you talking about? It's fucking weird shit. It's not like anything I've never, you know, it's just stupid, you know? It goes back to, I guess it goes back to the you know what it is? I just figured it out. It goes back to the old line of reasoning about pedophile or something, right? That's exactly what it is. You know that line that's been used since 2012 for 7 years? Idiots make shit up. 70 fucking years. And they don't give up. They still do the same shit. It's like, dude, you really don't give up, huh? Pretty stupid. So anyway, stupidity and...
Now, this is going to be a common sense type thing, right? But why would you even bring that up? Why did you just say that Genetic Gamer allegedly was talking shit behind your back and leave it at that? Why did we have to bring up the fact that, oh, Phil does shit with kids behind the scenes? And then why would you even, which is already just, whoa. And then you want to go ahead and further that up with, oh, people have been calling me a pedophile since I don't know what he say. It says 2012. Why would you bring any of that up? What happens when someone new walks in on your free stream and hears, yeah, this guy right here was going to report me to the FBI for child porn, and then it's because all these idiots who've been running around calling me a pedophile since 2012. Why would you say any of that? Why the fuck would any of that be brought out? Jesus Christ, Phil, why can't you think before you talk? Seriously. You keep saying that, oh, he just said in the last broadcast, oh, I don't want to talk about, I didn't want to go on the podcast because they were going to say things and yada, 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 yada. You hurt yourself on your own. On your own little, that's what I'm saying. Like, on your own kingdom, you fuck up on the regular. So why, if you can't regulate shit over here to where people are going to allegedly report you to the FBI, what makes you think that you would have any real say-so over there on somebody else's platform? That's ridiculous. Oh boy. Oh boy.
And they're not coming back, so. Yeah, I agree, Roy King Trees. It's the same mentality that swatters have. Right. It's just insane. Oh, I'm just going to do something really nasty to someone. Doesn't matter if it has any logic to it or whatever. Well, let's just do that. You know, swatting the worst because people get hurt. You know, people get killed. It's fucked up. All right, Riri Boy just did a 50-bit cheer and says, news just came out, Ninja was paid $1 million by EA to play Apex Legends. Looks like you were right all along. I mean, first of all, I have no idea whatsoever if that's true. This is the first I'm ever hearing that as a fact. But we already know that they were being paid because when they streamed the game at launch, they all had Apex Partner on their screens. They had to put up legally, they had this logo thing they had to put up that said, like, Apex Partner to know that they were getting paid to play the game. Everyone knew that. Now, do we know they were getting paid a ridiculous amount of money like that? No. But it's not fucking surprising with the following that these people have.
I mean, I'll be honest, just like any other normal human, yes, am I jealous of certain people and of people who are successful and whatever? Of course I am. Of course I'm going to have jealousy. That's a natural human emotion for those who have more than you. You're always going to have that natural kind of jealousy of those who maybe have, been more successful or things like that. As I've told you guys, I don't think anyone doing what I do is a celebrity at all. No, I don't think PewDiePie and Ninja are fucking celebrities. I'm sorry. I don't think Markiplier is a celebrity. These are people who just play games and got lucky on the internet and through various means got rich. And
so, I mean, what makes you any different then in the fact that these are guys who played games and got lucky? The only difference was you didn't get rich. You could have been well off, but you didn't get rich. Is that why your butt hurt? I mean, you got lucky too. Were you ever going to be as big as any of those guys? No. But you certainly could have been influential. You could have been one of those people who get flown out to different, different companies and so on and so forth, and publishers and so on and so forth, and to test games out. You definitely would have gotten free games. You definitely would have been in E3 every year. Phil Burnell, surprisingly enough, could have had those things. I still feel a certain type of way about that in the fact that I don't think he was as influential as people say he was, but I don't know. But it's a lot of people keep telling me, man, that he had a lot of pullback in those days. Not necessarily with companies, just on YouTube. So if you want to go off that, then it's very possible that could have translated into having some pull in the industry. Kind of, sort of. At least getting way more free shit and getting paid to get free shit. That could have happened. But it obviously didn't, because he's an idiot. So, it is what it was. But either which way, because I don't want to discount the people who told me this, that and at least their general thoughts, because I respect them. So he like I said, he would have never been as big as any of those individuals, but he surely could have had influence. And he squandered it either which way, because he didn't know how to handle it, first off. You know what I mean? The climb up is extremely arduous, but maintaining is what's important. I'll go into an analogy about it later, but that's what it really comes down to. For as high as Phil was able to rise, other people had to start from somewhere too, usually the bottom. No puns there. And they kept reaching. And in turn of them keep reaching, they kept climbing. They had the motivation to keep doing it. Phil didn't. Phil was content with making a whole shitload of money and not doing nothing to do it, and not doing anything for it, until he saw other people put effort into it. which got him pissed off because he thought the more effort that you guys put in, you're going to fuck it up for everybody else. And it kind of did. In the fact that those who were really passionate about what they did, then they kept increasing the production. They kept, you know what I'm saying, they kept pushing the bar. And that made Phil extremely pissed off because he knew he didn't want to have to put any more work in it than he needed to. I remember Tevin saying once that, praise be, he said that Phil, back at the condo in Connecticut, used to actually record laying down on his couch. He wasn't sitting up, hyper-focused or whatever bullshit Phil likes to say. He was laying down on his couch most of the time, just sitting there chilling and playing a game. Lackluster and everything. Probably drunk. That's how Phil wanted to make his money, and that's how he did for a very long time. And that's why I keep saying that, to be honest, that face cam doesn't help him. He does it because other people do it. But more and more people are not doing it. More and more people are kind of shying away from that. It's not really necessary. Unless you're a thought. And Phil's certainly a thought. Because he acts like a thought. But anyway, most people are shying away from it because it's not really necessary. It doesn't add to your overall experiences unless you're trying to make a reaction. If you're not going for that, then it's not really needed. It just seems it's incidental. So with that being said, when you look at Phil and you look at how the industry kind of, the detractors didn't screw him over. The industry didn't screw him over. What happened was the bar and the platform itself continued to evolve because that's what happens when it starts. He was there at the beginning where people were able to make money doing this. And people wanted to continue to push the bar. They were doing it before he probably got in there, before the money showed up. But when the money came in and people learned about what was coming out and how to reinvest back into themselves, which in turn could get them more money, that's what they did. Phil didn't. Phil sat there, and in a lot of ways, it was a double-edged sword because Phil was like, well, shit, I don't want to have to do what they have to do. But then Phil in his mind is probably like, and I'm just assuming, is like, oh, well, the less people who are doing what I do, then I'll corner the market. I'll have the whole market cornered off, and this would be just my little thing. And then they can have what they want. That's all unnecessary. Those are all gimmicks. Those guys won't last. But those guys made a shitload of money than he did. Yeah, you could say Phil. You could say, well, GTG, Phil's still around. Yeah, but he's broke. He's broke and he's in debt. Those other guys, you know what I'm saying? They made their money. If they're still out there, they're still out there doing it. Great. If not, the majority of them, if not almost all of them, branched out before YouTube collapsed. And when I mean branched out, I don't mean branched out and went to Twitch. I mean they actually went out and did shit. They actually went out and started businesses. They actually made stuff happen. They started production companies. They actually started, a few of them actually started talent agencies, kind of, sort of, to kind of help develop new people to come into the business and whatnot, so on and so forth. A lot of them were able to get themselves into those companies and get into the development departments and so on and so forth. People went out and did real shit. There was one, can't remember who I was talking to on Twitter, but someone I was talking to was had said that they had one of their favorite YouTubers actually went on and opened up an actual restaurant, which is successful. I mean, that is actually successful after like 5 or 6 years or whatever the case may be. Actually, I think 2 people talked to me about it. I don't think it's the same person though, but you know what I mean. They actually went out and opened up a restaurant. All of that off YouTube money. But Phil never could do that. But yet Phil wants to sit here and tell you guys, oh yeah, I'd love to open my own restaurant, this, that, and the third. How? You can't cook. You can't cook. So since you can't make anything, and you don't necessarily know what's good, that means you have to depend on people who have talent. Well, here's the problem with that. Those people who have talent can dictate how much they get paid. Because you need them. They don't necessarily need you. And that's where Phil doesn't understand the whole scenario with opening your own restaurant. Since you know nothing, people can dictate everything to you. And trust me, if you don't pay them up, if you don't pay them, they don't come to work. If you don't come to work, then guess what? There's no food that's going to come out, which means no restaurant. And since you don't have any know-how, no expertise, because you won't learn, you won't cook for yourself. So what makes me think you'd cook for a group of other people? You can't do anything but pay them what they want. You can't do anything but accommodate them in any way, shape, or form. And once people smell weakness like that, they're going to take advantage of it. Not everybody, but most people. And they'll do that until they get enough foothold in to where they'll go to someone else and move on. If you know anything about how, like, if any of you guys have ever gone to culinary school or know people who have, it's kind of just a thing. You go to a restaurant, you work there for maybe a year, maybe 2, just kind of sharpen your skills, and then you move on to another restaurant, and you're constantly looking to move up. Phil never did that. He never did that in anything in life. He went from, and I'm just going to just assume, he went from shit job to shit job to shit job until he had a really good job, fucked that up, and went to this online thing and tried to milk it for everything he could. Was successful, I suppose. I'm going to still use that loosely, despite what people feel, because some people feel he actually was successful. Made a boatload of cash, blew it on frivolous bullshit because he's still 15 years old, and he's mad that he didn't have everything that everybody else had, and now look at him. Bought a condo because he was hoping to get laid. That didn't happen. Congratulations, Phil. You got cucked. Then ends up getting with this chick who it seems kind of obvious that Panda must have been underage when he was talking to her. Whether she was or not, we don't know, and we'll probably never know. But when I mean underage, I mean he was definitely talking to her, or at least I think he was talking to her before she was 18. Well, now, was he talking to her when she was 16? No. But I think like she was like 17, turning on 18, and he was talking to her. And that should have been a no-no. That should have been a big no-no. But whatever. But I don't think I think he was probably smart enough not to meet her until she was at least 18. But that's neither here nor there. You went and sat there and uprooted her from her family, moved her across country, and had her locked into your little mansion over there. And there you go. You had everything worked out until she was forced to basically get a job. And then in turn, she was forced, not even forced, but then she learned how to interact with other people. She learned how to better herself. She learned that she deserved better. And in turn, she could do better. And then you went ahead and exposed her and she left. And now look at you. Then you had to go out there window shopping for whatever you could get your hands on quick. And then Cat pops up. And now you're talking about this great life, and all of a sudden, this, that, and the third, and you have now all of a sudden back taxes are being a problem, this, that, and the third, and all this money that supposedly is coming in that people are keeping track of. Supposedly there is no money, and so on and so forth. Everything goes to bills, allegedly. And now the only way you can go and see your sick and allegedly sick and dying parents is if they pay you to go out there. If they flip the bill for you and Kat to go out there. Because in truth, they don't need to go out there and see Kat. If they're asking to see Kat, then let's be perfectly honest with you, they must not be that sick. Because, excuse me, why would any parents who are terminally ill or just sick in general want to meet their son and his new girlfriend off the rip of only a year? Wouldn't they want to wait until they're better? Until they're in better condition to go ahead and meet her? Why would they do that if they were gravely ill? Or if one of them were gravely ill? If one of them were just ill, why wouldn't they just wait for a better time to do so? You only been with her for a year. What do they care? You see where a lot of the problems come to play? See where a lot of the nonsense comes from? His life is a joke. It's a joke. So for you to sit there and throw shade at people who worked harder, who had more talent, and had the drive to push themselves as far as they could, is not insulting to them. It just makes you look that much more ridiculous. And for what? Excuse me. And for what? So what you say goes on a couple clipping channels? So what you say makes yourself sound like an idiot to where some of the bigger guys, allegedly, have a Discord that they sit there and laugh about some of that silly shit and think it's funny? And now you're running around, Phil, talking about, whenever I say something, people should appreciate my opinion. Why? You don't appreciate anybody else's. You never did. But he's been pushing that narrative, though, for the last couple months. That he has his opinion and it should be respected. How many other people had opinions that you didn't respect? You're literally a waste of time. And the thing is you're a waste of time to the person that it should mean the most to. Yourself. Dspnews.
Following, that doesn't make them a fucking celebrity where I want their fucking autograph. That's insane.
You know? Now, in reality, Apex Legends is a pretty good game. It's not the best game I've ever played, and it's certainly, in my opinion, overhyped, but it's still a pretty solid Battle Royale game. It's fun team-based gameplay. Should it have been the #1 streamed game on Twitch that day? Fuck no. It only got there because people paid for it, you know? So, you know, I don't understand why people think that, like, these giant streamers do anything legit. Most of the stuff they're doing most of the time is because they're being paid for it. Don't be stupid and ignorant, you know? Why? If that is the case and you have an issue with that, oh, Ninja got paid $1 million and I don't care, fine, then watch Ninja, there's no problem. But if you actually have a problem with that, oh, Ninja got paid $1 million to stream something on Twitch, I don't agree with that. Then why are you watching him? Support people who do stuff because they love games, not because they're getting paid to do it. You know what I mean? And there's tons of people like that out there, only probably thousands upon thousands of streamers who don't make giant paychecks from this shit, you know? So, go support someone else.
You thermal sniping fag, that's it.
Oh,
All
see,
revenge.
See now, here you go. There's stuff back then that I would say, that I would never say today, you know, over 9 years ago. It was a different time, it was a different era. Back then, alright, the things that I would say, a lot of the time were for shock value on YouTube.
This is asshole remorse, as I call it.
You know? Or it was more casual, too. Like, to say something like that off the cuff, alright, would be like nothing. And no one would say anything. Today,
now, keep in mind, ladies and gentlemen, this is someone who styles himself as a real gamer and the realest dude on YouTube. I want you to think about this. He's said this shit for years. For over a decade, he's saying all this. But now he has to pig-splain that he's now learned from his mistakes.
if I were to say that kind of stuff, #1, I would feel bad because I'm much older and more mature, 9 years older. There's no way I would be saying stupid shit like that. It's so dumb. And #2, people would be complaining like crazy, reporting the videos and you know what I mean? Like back then, that was just something common. When I grew up, this is being honest, when I grew up in Connecticut, saying stuff like that was very common. It wasn't even seen as like, oh, you're saying that as an insult to homosexuals. It was just like, that was a generic insult. You know what I mean? Today, I realize that's not the case. That it is. It's insulting. It's bad. It's wrong. But back then, and like I said, growing up in Connecticut, like that was the lingo that kids use. You know what I mean? So it's a lot different time now. And think, you know, obviously, you know, me, I would feel bad if I ever let something slip like that or something now. I would feel awful.
Silver-tongued talker, right? Oh, I'm just going to say it one way, and hopefully you'll believe it, even though that's not the truth. And that's literally what's happening here. The guy's a liar. The guy's a fucking blatant liar and lying to everyone. But people are believing it because they don't know any better.
But back then, it was a different era. It was very common. Yeah, Slime Bear says the fact that it was common was a problem. Dude, it was very common. It was incredibly common. That was just... Oh, shit. It was just normal talk.
The second kill there. But I did kill him with grenades.
Those were the good old days.
Let
me see, here's the thing. Here's the thing.
Run for fuck.
In some ways, like, remember I did the top 10 racist moments of the year and stuff like that? I think stuff like that's innocent because none of that is meant ill-intentioned at all. But at the same time, like, using a term that actually is a slur towards a race or towards a sexual denomination and using that as a generic insult, I think actually is wrong.
Really?
And I'm actually glad that I don't do that stuff anymore because that's like... Even though I don't mean it that way, it could still be hurtful to that a person. You know, if someone
even with his pig-splaining, what he's trying to do is he's trying to teeter on that edge between what I say is a joke, but I see how people could take it as an insult. But it wasn't meant to be an insult; it was meant to be a joke. He wants to play that angle, and that never works out for anybody.
Homosexual and they hear me say a word like that, they can be very angry, you know, very upset that I'm saying it. To me, it's nothing. To me, it's like, I didn't mean it that way. But that doesn't mean it's not hurtful to the other person, you know what I mean? So, to make generic comedy about race and stuff like that, that's different. But to actually use the hurtful terms, I'm glad I don't do that anymore, and I'm glad that that's something that I definitely grew out of and phased out, so.
But oh, it's funny, like, it's so, everything today is so different.
And this is, watch how he contradicts himself.
It used to be, you know what I mean? Like, the good news is, though, because here's the thing. So people look at older videos of mine and they're like, man, that's the real Phil. And, you know, the modern DSP is a censored DSP. Yeah, so some people are like, oh, you know, the modern DSP is a censored DSP and the old DSP was genuine and stuff. I disagree. I think what it was...
Now, you know that whole when he squints his eyes meme that goes around and shit, show how sarcastic he is, like, why attack it? Okay, you see he's not doing that here, right? Because he's really trying to push the narrative. He's really trying to protect what he's saying. Now, granted, if it's usually like a pre-stream or something, you wouldn't be able to tell either which way. Even though Tevin brings up a good point, when he starts getting in his little modes like that, where he likes to squint his eyes, you can kind of hear it in his voice. And I agree, you can. But right here, he's not. And that's because he's actually trying to protect himself. And not necessarily, well, in some ways justify what he did. But it's really him just trying to shield himself. As it goes on, you'll see what I'm saying.
Back then, it was a different climate. It really was. The world was different. And to casually say stuff like that was actually, like, accepted in many places. Where I grew up, it was normal to do that stuff. It was normalized behavior. It wasn't seen as a negative. It wasn't seen as an insult. I did nothing wrong. I did everything correct. And then, once I got to the World Wide Web and I got exposed to...
So basically, when you were in Connecticut around your bosom buddies, it was cool. But when you started traveling for tournaments and you saw that you tried to pull that shit and then dudes ran up on you, oh shit, is that bad? Oh, so that's what you're trying to say. So it's kind of like... So while you were basically in your little bubble in Connecticut, everything was straight. That's what he's trying to say. When he was in his little bubble in Connecticut, everything was straight. But when he actually left Connecticut, then all of a sudden, oh shit, this is how life really is? God damn, dude. God damn.
Thousands upon thousands of people all over the world, and people started telling me, no, Phil, that is kind of offensive what you're doing when you say that stuff, right?
It didn't matter because he kept doing it anyway. Actually, there are people who have clipped videos out there where you can hear him sit there and say, dude, you know what I'm saying? Why are you acting this way? You guys are being entitled, this, that, and the third. I'm going to do what I want, yada, yada, yada. He didn't care about this. He's right. This shit was brought up to him a long time ago, and he brushed all of them off. But now, all of a sudden, he has asshole remorse? Fuck that.
I kind of opened my eyes a little bit, and I was like, wow, I didn't know that just generically saying a term like that could actually be seen as something insulting to someone. I didn't get it, and now, then over time it changed for me, which is a good thing. And, so I don't think...
What he means is popularity started to wane. People were making other videos that were outshining his. The money started to come in slow. Wasn't getting all the perks and everything. So basically when all the negatives came from all of this is when you started to learn. Not when people told you from the rip, hey Phil, you don't need to do that, you shouldn't do that. Hey Phil, I even saw in a couple of comments of older videos, hey Phil, man, you're better than that, why are you using jokes like this? There were people who actually said that. But he completely disregarded all that shit and kept doing what he wanted to do until everything fell apart.
Honestly, today, that stuff's not even in my head, you know what I mean? Like, when I'm playing the game, I would never think to insult someone by saying those words.
Yeah, you do, because it's in your nature. It's in your nature. You're not going to change your spots. You can see it. You can see some of it in his rants that kind of prove the point. He's just a lot more careful about it. And the thing is that it's never a good thing. If you have any type of ill-intention thoughts, eventually it's going to build. And this has been proven. And eventually it'll come out. You can't hide who you are forever. You're better off just coming out and accepting it. Because people are already thinking about you anyway. Just come out and accept it and move on. People are going to say it about you anyway. You might as well just come out and move on. But since no one wants to accept it, because no one wants to be labeled with these terms, then all of a sudden people get butthurt. And then want to go ahead and make fucking hour-long videos talking about I've changed and I see the flaw in my ways and I never really meant to hurt anybody and it was all just no. Man, just skip all the formalities and just come out and admit, yeah, this is what I think. Yeah, this is how I was raised. This is what I think. It's not right to think this way, but this is how I think. People are still not going to like it, right? And people are going to still call you out on it. But at least you were man enough to come out and admit it.
But back then it was just normal speak. It was like casual lingo. And that's why it would just like come out of my mouth without me even consciously thinking of saying it. Bloop, there it is. Now, luckily, it's not like that anymore. Very, very, very hypocritical. When you watch me on a stream, you're getting pure, unadulterated Phil. You're getting out of me my pure, opinion on the matter. For the most part, it's pure Phil. You're getting the real deal. You're not getting the fake acting Phil. You're not getting a Muppet, like I like to call some other streamers who, they overact for the camera, they have the dyed hair, and they have to be this certain stereotype to make money.
There you go. That proves the point. And so if he has this type of disdain for people like Markiplier, PewDiePie, so on and so forth, you tell me he don't have that disdain for other people, other races, other people who just think differently of him? It doesn't work. You don't just cut that shit off. And don't get me wrong, I'm not going to sit there and dwell on it and whatever. I will. I'll just do it in other videos. But you don't just change. And Phil's a creature of habit. Whether that's because of his environment and his surroundings, or whether that's of his nature, he's a creature of habit. He's not going to change. He just is. He doesn't have it in him. He really don't. He really doesn't. It's just how it is. This is the reality. You know what I mean? So for all the people who, and trust me, because I run into them on Twitter and shit, who try to fight the good fight in my DMs that, Phil really isn't that bad, this, that, and that, he is. He really is that bad. You know what I'm saying? And you don't want to see it, and that's fine. Then keep supporting him. Keep supporting him, and we'll regularly check in on each other. Because I don't hate Phil. I've already told you guys that. I don't hate him. And I don't have no problem with you because you support him. So if you want to check in with me periodically to tell me how he acts when certain situations come up, feel free to do so. My DM's open to anybody. And there we go. And as his decline happens, as it's destined to do it, we'll see how your decline in faith goes ahead and dwindles with it. And I don't take any joy in any of that. Don't get it twisted. It's just, I'm sorry that I see it. Now, most people have an attachment to Phil. They've been around him for a long time. This, that, and the third. You guys, a lot of you guys were younger when you guys came up watching him. So you kind of disregarded the real serious shit because you didn't know it was serious. And you kind of laughed at it and so on and so forth. But as people got older, people left him. This isn't by coincidence. It wasn't even because of the detractors. People were leaving him before that. He is what he is. And he can't change. He can't be fixed. He's not going to get better. He doesn't want to get better. In his own head, he doesn't believe he's wrong. He just knows if he says what he really wants to say, it's going to get him in trouble. That doesn't change his actual thought process. That doesn't take away from his beliefs. His beliefs are his beliefs. End of story. He just knows that it's not a smart idea to go ahead and project that. That's what it comes down to. So did he really change, or did he just smarten up a little bit? There's a difference. Dspnews.
Kids, I'm not like that, and you guys know that. For 10 years, I've prided myself on being the real me, not some bullshit character to make money. All right? I'm fully out of the closet, as you guys know. I'm out of the closet. Fully out of the closet. Yeah. I'm gay, totally gay. What pasta do you prefer? I prefer a penne. Oh! Easy to eat. Oh! Phil's a faggot. Phil's fat. Phil's a loser. Phil's a beggar. Phil's a racist. Phil's a scammer. DSP's a pedophile. DSP is a thief. DSP is a greedy fuck.
This guy's a bitch.
I have a micro penis.
Alright, ladies and gentlemen, that's the end of the broadcast. Didn't expect it to go the way it did towards the end, but I guess you have to try to end sharp. As it pertains to Sekiro and the marathon, only time will tell. If I had to guess, he's still going to play Sekiro. He's just not going to play it in the marathon. It's just not going to be a marathon of Sekiro. He's still going to play it in the marathon, though. Because why not? So there you go on that. As for the podcast, womp womp. So, I mean, that's all you have to say about that. As for the insults and whatnot, I've already gone over that. It's in his nature. He can't change who he is. And then modern DSP is basically, he didn't learn shit. He just learned that, oh, if I say this, I'm going to get smacked. I'm still going to think it. I'm just not going to say it. And that's the end of the story. It really just doesn't break down to anything else than that. And so, let's let's not kind of delude ourselves to any type of situation. Phil is not in Phil's world. He's perfect. He's perfect. So change is a bad thing because he has to accept that he's not perfect. He has to accept that he's been doing things wrong and he would need to change. He's too fragile for that. He's way too fragile. A lot of people are. A lot of people are. But Phil is the extreme of it. And that's why he had to build his own world. Because he can't deal with the reality that's out there. He can't deal with this. And this is coming from someone who takes criticism all day. So when I mean that, I mean Phil. Phil takes criticism all day. He should be used to it. But he can't. He can't live with the fact of being ordinary, being common. He's above all of this. He was able to get in something early, make a shitload of money, and make a living off of it. That by proxy makes him better than all of us. Because look at this little scam right here that I found, and look how much money I made off it. Look what I was able to get for it. That's why he buys all that junk. That's why he buys all that bullshit. Look at those old condo videos and whatnot. Look at how he crowded his space up with garbage. With absolute garbage. I mean, don't get me wrong, it could have been worth something if pieces weren't broken off, or maybe he actually took care of it. But essentially, all he did was crowd his space. Go back and look at Go back and look at the Back in Time videos that Tevin made. You see his condo when he first started. It looked reasonable. It's kind of Spartic, but kind of reasonable. And then look at what it looked like, and then look at it when he, by the time he was ready to move. It was cluttered with shit. So much shit that he didn't even take most of it. He left most of it because that's how much it meant to him. But now he wants to sit here and complain to you guys about how he needs money and he can't afford this, that, and the third. Yet he won't sit there and do a vlog around his house to update. Because he's scared that all the stuff that he bought, people are going to go online and cross-reference it, find out how much it costs. Oh, Phil, I thought you didn't have any money, but we're buying $200 fans? Also, really nice carpet there, Phil. Where'd that come from? Hey, Phil, those are some really nice, I don't know, whatever. That's a really nice ottoman or whatever. You know what I'm saying? Whatever it is that cat would want for comfort. How much did that cost? He doesn't want to deal with those questions. That's why he hides the way he does. He's a prisoner to himself. The moment he isolates himself into a bubble and say, the world doesn't affect me, the world's all out to get me, I'm perfect, I didn't do anything wrong, he made himself a prisoner to scrutiny. A scrutiny that he can't even escape from now. Even within his own circles. That's why he's so quick to expel people. Either which way. Either which way. That's the scenario. We'll see how things play out. This is going to be late. I hope it's not. I'd like for this to be on time, but it's probably not going to. Because I'm backed up on a bunch of shit. Ladies and gentlemen, thank you for listening in. I very much appreciate it. And this is DSP News. Always late, never breaking. Unreliable coverage that you can't count on. A GTG Network Productions. I've been your host / anchor, GTG, and I'm signing off. Take care of yourselves, guys. Oh, oh boy.
You'll be pleased to know our mutual friend is doing quite well in Lady Sansa's service.
Good. One of my better ideas.
And it seems the Grand Maester has found his way into a black cell. Well played, my Lord Hand. But should I be worried? Janus, Slint, Pycelle, the small council grows smaller every day.
The council has a reputation for serving past hands poorly. I don't mean to follow Ned's stock to the grave.
Power is a curious thing, my lord. Are you fond of riddles?
Why? Am I about to hear one?
3 great men sit in a room. A king, a priest, and a rich man. Between them stands a common sellsword. Each great man bids the sellsword kill the other 2. Who lives, who dies?
Depends on the sellsword.
Does it? He has neither crown nor gold, nor favor with the gods.
He has a sword, the power of life and death.
But if it's swordsmen who rule, why do we pretend kings hold all the power? When Ned Stark lost his head, who was truly responsible? Joffrey, the executioner, or something else?
I've decided I don't like riddles.
Power resides where men believe it resides. It's a trick, a shadow on the wall. And a very small man can cast a very large shadow.